just starting to find our way. And even our first episode, The Reel, that was only 30 minutes. And
right.
It's a nice little episode. You can start seeing that, whoa, wait a second, we're finding our way. But think about the first one, the second one. That was one of those where I thought, if we can at least get 5 recorded, we're going to be going somewhere.
Yeah.
That was my goal, to record 5. And then I told you I wanted to have 10 uploaded. And that seemed like a lot.
Right.
It seemed like a lot. And I thought, 10 is very, I'm shooting very high. And
yeah.
Look, 70 in. This is our 70th episode. It's really unbelievable.
Yeah. It is. It is.
But it takes effort. It takes us not just... I mean, can you imagine if we still would have been talking about, it'd be nice if we did a podcast. It'd be nice if we could...
Yes.
But we put it to action.
And, we did that for a while. We just talked about, we should do it. We should do it.
Yes.
We should do it.
Yes.
But we didn't do anything. And then Leo's like, okay, we're doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Maria and I are like, what?
When reality hit, okay, here's everything. Yeah.
I think you and Maria did a little practice run by yourself.
Yes, but she wasn't aware.
That's right. And so she was comfortable. Yes.
Yeah, comfortable-ish. But it takes those steps, those first steps. It's kind of like walking for the first time. And taking a chance. It's like finally taking a chance and doing it, and whatever happens.
Yeah.
And remember, when I said, and Maria had said it too, we're not going to edit it. This is going to, as just the way we record it, it is going to be published.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good way of doing it because it motivates us to continue just doing them over. So, I don't know how often you listen to these. I listen to them a lot. And I always think I could have done better here. I could have done better there. Or maybe I'll do this next time. But a lot of the times it's also about, wow, that was really good. Wow, that was really good. So I don't criticize too much. I'll spend a few minutes saying, oh, maybe this would have been better, that better, but it's great. And whether people think it's great or not great, I have to be kind to myself. I have to be fair with myself.
Well, yeah. And if anybody's listening to criticize, it's like Leo says, at least they're listening.
Yes. Remember how it doesn't matter.
Don't be the critic. Don't be the critic.
Yes.
That's just so, don't find your purpose in life just to be the critic.
Constructive criticism is good. If you're doing it so you can keep going, it's great. But if you're doing it to give you that doubt and not move forward, don't do that. That's not going to get you anywhere. But if you're doing it to keep going and going 70 episodes later, yes, keep doing it. Yes.
Yeah. But I just think, there's so many paths to momentum. Just doing anything that's geared towards self-improvement, and not just for yourself, but just for the community. I mean, yesterday I stopped at I think it was at a Walmart. I don't know where I was.
Right.
Which is always a chaotic event for me because they're too busy. But there was a buggy sitting out in the parking lot. I wanted to hit my car, and I'm like, oh no. And I thought of Leo, because Leo knows I cannot stand it when people don't put their buggies away.
Not at all. Right.
And I thought, wouldn't the world just be a better place if everybody just took that time to put their buggy up as a common courtesy?
Yes.
If you're handicapped, maybe that's not something you can do, or you're a mom, and you're carrying your baby and your groceries. But for the large part, a lot of us can do it. And it's overcoming laziness, because that's what it is. It's lazy when you don't do that.
And it's a simple act. It's a simple act of kindness. It's a simple act of respect to put that cart back. And we've talked about this many times because it is a pet peeve, especially when it hits your car. But also, when you're in the store and let's say I do have a disability and I don't see any carts in there and the staff is busy because people are shorthanded now. No one wants to work. It's a whole different topic. So if I make it accessible by just returning that cart, it helps. It's like that trickle down effect. It helps somebody. Somebody's getting help out there. And then, those of us that are able, taking a couple of carts and putting them back in there ourselves, that helps. I find myself sometimes fixing them when they're out of line. I'll just kind of toss them in there, just so they can fit more in there. Because it's and I don't do it all the time, but if I have time, I will do that just to make it easy for the next person. Because I think sometimes when people see them crowded like that, they tend to just say, well, I'll just leave it here. There's no room for it there. Maybe. Right. But it's just. But
I just think, everybody taking those small, considerate steps, be considerate of the people who are going to have to work around that buggy, whether it's the employees of the store or the people that want to park there, just being considerate. And then being considerate of the environment and order, because everything does have its place and we operate on order.
Yes.
So don't make things harder than it has to be.
Right. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us end up making things harder in our lives, and we've talked about this also. And if you're listening, this is the Real Podcast of Dallas. 1 year later, our year anniversary, December 16th was when we recorded or published our first episode. There are some lost episodes. I'm gonna find those and publish those, Cindy. The lost episodes.
Wow.
Yes. Look, we're like a. They're gonna say, the Real Podcast of Dallas, the lost episodes. One day they're gonna do stories on us, and publish those. But yes, and we're talking about a year later, and what motivates you, and how to stay motivated, how to get out of that rut, or if you're unstuck. And we've talked about this in our past episodes. Our theme is basically, how would you describe our theme? Like when we do these podcasts, if somebody's listening, because I know people can really critique us and just tear us up. But
how would I discuss that? It's hard to hear you. How would I describe our theme?
What's our theme? What has been our theme all these years when we do this? In your opinion?
Well, I think it's, what is that phrase? I always say it's food for thought. It's a different way
for thought,
being and existing, and just reflecting on that. Maybe that's not the ways that we're speaking of aren't natural to you,
right?
But giving it a go, giving it a try, putting some redirection out there and seeing what comes of it.
Yes.
Because we all have power, and we're all creative individuals, and we are creating our lives. We are painting our, landscapes on the blank canvases. All that fluffy stuff that you hear from poets and such. It's all true. It really is.
It really is. It's being human. If those of you that
being your best human, being your best self, your best life experience.
Yeah, I like to describe it as
you're a small part of the whole. Go ahead.
The podcast that humanizes you.
Yeah.
Because I think that we lose that human part of ourselves. We become human doers, not human beings. Where we're going, doing, and what I'm going with what feels good at the moment. not planning for the future. And it can be very self-destructive. Now, being mindful, being in the moment with something that you're doing is excellent. But living just for a moment, or reliving those moments daily that are negative, are not.
Right.
So again, remember we talked about discernment, discerning, when it's good and when it's bad.
Yes.
Which I think is difficult for a lot of people. Again, discernment.
Yes. It is. It is, because we're not all, trained or we don't naturally think about looking for, what's not said or what's not obvious. Right. But something I've decided I'm going to do, and I'm really going to do it because I'm going to commit to it, is, start a gratitude journal. And I was just, everybody says they're going to do that, but I'm really going to do it.
Wow.
And, so I've already started it in my mind. I've got to find my pretty little journal that I want. But, the more you start trying to find 5 things every day,
yes,
then you start looking for things, and you're like, oh my gosh, now I've got 20 things. Okay, but what do I want my 5 to be? And you start really focusing on that. And then you notice that there's so many little things you have to be grateful for. And it changes your whole outlook,
Wow. And I think that's one of the ways of starting, if you're asking, well, how can I make my dreams come true? One of those is doing an inventory on what you have and what you're grateful for.
Yeah.
You have to have a foundation that gives you that stability. Yes. Little accomplishments, like what have I accomplished this year? What have I accomplished this month, this day? What are some accomplishments? Because I think if we can take it to the realm of some of the kids who are listening, families who are listening, that maybe are around too much negativity, violence, any kind of self-destructive behaviors, addiction, domestic violence, anything like that, it might be a little harder to find something positive in your world.
Right.
So taking an inventory of, what should I be grateful for in this violent situation?
It makes you more mindful too. It does,
Yeah. So maybe you'll think, maybe it'll be a small thing. Maybe it'll be that there's someone who's caring for you, maybe for a few minutes. Maybe they say hi to you. Maybe they spark up a conversation and not really care about what's happening to you. Maybe they don't know, so they just really want to know who you are. And that little attention that you may get, or a friend that is just very kind.
Yeah.
So doing a little inventory. And I know it's difficult, especially if you're coming out of an environment that can be violent. Some of you are maybe in a situation where you're hopeless right now. Do an inventory on what do I have to be grateful for? And that's one of those where they really have to think, Cindy, right? Because sometimes it might be the fact that you just woke up this morning.
Yeah.
And for some people, that may not be a positive.
Right. Some people, it's just going to be the essentials. I'm breathing. Right. I haven't, let my tongue take over and say all the wrong things. I didn't curse somebody out. I didn't, Right. You're just being, and that's okay.
Yeah, some people have really, some people really have burned bridges. In treatment, when I was working in treatment, I saw that a lot where, you basically have burned all your, all the positive people in your life have just given up. And maybe it's for, and it's probably a good reason. If you're in addiction, you probably your word does not mean anything, and you've probably taken things that you